Hello, so tonight we are going to be going over how to create your own personal database. Now, in order to create a database, we need to have a place where that database can be stored, where it can be created, where we can add in our data. Now, to do so, we're going to be creating our own personal web hosting account with this website right here, which is 000webhost.com, which is this right here. So I want you to go ahead and type this in and go to this website. So this is the website, this is the landing page that you'd be going to. And then you're just going to click on the free sign up. So this account doesn't cost you anything, it's 100% free. So you'd enter in your email here, whatever password you want to come up with, and the name of your website right here. You're going to click on Get Free Hosting, and this will take you to your landing page. Now, once you're logged in, you scroll down here. I want you to click on this button right here, which is Manage Websites. We're going to be managing our website, getting everything set up. Now, this link right here is the link to the home page of this website that I have just created. Now, right now it looks a lot like Webhost, but that's because we haven't uploaded any files here that makes this ours or makes it unique to us. But we'll cover that later on. Alright, what I do want you to do is I want you to go and click on Manage Database, this link right here. So go ahead and click on that. If you go down here, so our free account gives us access to 2 databases that we can create. Now, I've already created one right here, which I'm just going to go ahead and delete. And we're going to create our own new database. So I'm going to click on New Database, and we can specify what our database name is, what our username is going to be. So for this, I'm going to say example. It's going to be my database name. Now for you, you can name it portfolio or whatever it is that you want your database to be named. But the database that we're going to be creating is going to be for a portfolio website, so keep that in mind. Now the database username for me, I'm just going to put in Jason, and my password, I'm just going to come up with something there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create this. And it shows the process of it getting the database all set up for us. So we'll just need to wait a few minutes for that to happen. And if we look over here, this gives us some details about our database. So this is our database name, this is our database user, and this is our database host. Now at this time this may not seem too important or relevant, but as we go on and we're going to be connecting this database to a website that you will be creating, these details will be useful. Also, as a heads up, for the assignment that you're going to be turning in tonight, or when you get your homework done, I want you to submit this link right here, or the link that your website generates, to me. So if we click on this, so I want you to give me this link. That way I can verify that you've created an account and that you're following along. Alright, so it looks like my database has been created here. So we can click on the Manage button, and we've got a few different options. Now we've got the Delete Database button, which I used previously to delete my previous database. We can change a password, or we can go into PHP My Admin. Now this is the tool that we want to use, so we're going to go ahead and click on that. Alright, so this takes us to PHP My Admin. It's a nice interface that's been created that allows us to go in, create tables and databases to modify it however we like. It's got a little GUI system here for us. Alright, so if we go over here, on this left sidebar, we'll notice we've got a few different options here. So we've got the ID 3763412_example, which is the name of my database that I've created. And then we've got these two right here. Don't worry about these. We're not going to be messing with those tonight. So just go ahead and click on this one right here. Alright, and over here we have an option to create a table. Now tonight we're going to be creating a portfolio table. So we're going to call this portfolio. I'm going to have this all caps. I like to just have my table names all capitalized. Number of columns, it has 4 by default, which is actually perfect for what we're going to be creating tonight. So we're going to just go over here and click on Go. Alright, and now we have an area where we can set up our table. Now every table has different fields in it, and the first field that you want to set up is your primary key, or this is a unique identifier for each item or each bit of data that gets added into your table. Alright, so I'm just going to name this art underscore ID. I want to make sure it's an integer, so it's a number, and since this is our primary key, we're going to want this to auto increment. So AI right here means auto increment, so we'll click on that. Now when I say auto increment, that means that as data gets added into the database, it automatically generates a number. It automatically creates a unique ID, so you don't have to ever worry about trying to create a ID that is unique, because it will do that for you. Alright, we do want this to be a primary, and this is all set up, looks good, so we're going to go ahead and click on OK, or Go. Alright, so that's set up. Now we're going to create our other fields. So we're going to create a field called title. So this is going to be the title of our portfolio piece that we can add in. We're going to add in a description field. So if we wanted to, we could provide a detailed description of whatever piece that we want to add to our website, whether it be a flyer or a logo or whatever it is. And then we're going to add another field which we're going to call file name. Alright, now remember how these are spelt, because later on how these are spelt is how we're going to be calling them in our code. Alright, our title, we're going to have that set up as a char. Our description, let's do that as text. And file name, we're also going to do as char. Alright. Char is a type of field that we can enter in text, but short blocks of text. The text field right here is where we can add in much larger, like paragraphs, much bigger fields. And then, yeah, char like, which we already covered. Now, it is important for us to specify how big we want these fields to be, or like how many characters it will support. Text, we don't need to do it, but for character we do. So I'm going to just do 100 characters. So when we enter in our data, this is the max number of characters that can be added in. Alright, let's see here, we've got all of this set up, should be good. And let's go ahead and click on Save. Alright, our table is now created. So we've got our art ID, this is our primary key, it's got this little key right here telling us that this is the key. And then we've got our auto increment. And none of these other ones, by default, they got nothing in there. Okay. Alright, so now if we just click on this portfolio button here that's just been created when we created our table, it will show us all the data that we have entered in right now, which at this time is absolutely nothing. And if we click on this button right here, it can show us our structure. This is the data. Click right here, and we could write in some SQL code that would insert data, that would do whatever we need it to do. Click on search, insert. So we've got a lot of different options here. Now on insert, this allows us to insert some data. So let's, for example, keep that the same. Alright, so let's go ahead and let's do an example data here. So we're going to do for a title, we're going to say test logo. Our description, we're going to put something in here that says this is a test to verify that this is getting stored in the database. And our file name, now we don't have any files that we're going to be working with right now, but we're just going to put like test.png. Alright, click on go. Alright, it runs a SQL query that automatically inserts this data right into our table. Now it is possible, of course, to, if you're familiar with MySQL or SQL code, to just write this out. But this interface provides a way that you can do everything without having to write that code. So it's very useful for people that are not as code savvy. Alright, so if we clicked on this right here, it now shows that we have some data inserted in here. So we've got our title, we've got our description, we've got our file name. And we could enter in as many fields as we wanted, or as many lines of data that we wanted to use. And this has a unique identifier of 1. So the next one that would get added in would be a 2, and then 3, and 4. So the ID increments each time that you add in a bit of data. Alright, now just to give you some more practice with this, we're going to go ahead, click on this right here, and we are going to create a new table. And we're going to call this table, let's call it email. Now let's do this all caps. Alright, so let's see here. What fields do we want to have in here? We want to have name, email, phone number, and message. So, and then of course we want our primary key. So that's 5 fields. So let's go ahead and change this to 5, and we're going to click on go here. Alright, so we're going to call this email ID. Let's do, make sure that's an integer. Integer is just, you know, a type that where only numbers can get inserted in there. We're going to need to make sure this is auto increment, so it auto increments for us. We do want it to be a primary key. Click on go. Alright, and then we want to do our other fields. So we're going to do a name, phone, email, and description. Alright, so name, we can have it as just a char. Phone we can do as a char as well. Email will do char. And description, since a description can have a lot more information on it, we're going to do text. Alright. So we're going to do the length on these to be 100. And we don't need to specify a length for the description. And our primary key, or our, in this case, our email ID, we don't need to specify a length on here. Or let's the standard length for a primary key is 11. So we'll just put 11 here and see if it allows us to work with that. Let's see here. Make sure we've got everything else set up correctly. So we click on save, and it created another table. So if we go over here, so we've got portfolio, and we have email. If we click on this email field, shows that we do not have any data inserted in there right now. If we click on portfolio, shows that we do have one bit of data. So click on email here, and let's say we want to insert some data in here. So we're going to go over here. We don't want to modify the primary key. That will automatically insert its data for us. So I'm just going to put in, for the name, I'm going to put my name, so Jason Stott. I'm going to put in a bogus phone number. And since this is just a text field, we can format this number however we want. I'll put a bunch of 9s there. Okay. Email, we're going to do test@email.com, just test email. And for our description, this is just another test to verify that this works. Okay, so So we'll click on Go, and that goes inserts that data right into our table. So let's go ahead and click over here, and we'll click on this email here. All right, so this shows all of my data that is stored in the database. Now, databases are extremely useful. They provide a way that you can store a lot of data. And then once you've got your website connected to it, then your website can dynamically generate pages that has all of the data that you want it to do. You don't have to try and remember anything. You don't have to try and do anything special. The website can do that, providing that you have your website set up correctly and so that it dynamically pulls the data that you need it to use. All right. So for your assignment that you'll be working on, I want you to create these two different tables, the exact same fields that I showed you in this tutorial. So you got your portfolio and you've got your email table. Now, of course, you can name your database whatever you want from this point right here when you're creating your database. All right, and I'll just close these down. Okay, let's see here. So we've got our portfolio, our email field. All right, so what I want you to do for your email and portfolio, so I want you to take a screenshot of this page right here with the data that you've inserted in. I want you to take another screenshot of this table that you've created. And I want you to go over to structure here. I want you to take a screenshot of this, all this right here. Let's go back to portfolio. And I want you to take a screenshot of all of this information right here. This will show me that you've created the table correctly, that you have everything in the right, that each field has the right type set up, has a useful title, and that you've got your auto increment set up here. All right, so I want screenshots of your email table and your portfolio table, and I want you to submit the link to your website, which would be this right here. So you just copy this and submit it into Canvas. If you have any questions, feel free to give me a call, send me a text, or email. Email would probably be the most useful, as I'd be able to respond in a way that would provide any additional details that you might need. All right, and I believe that's everything. Hope you have a good night.